In the 1940s, there was something big going on in the world. Lots of fighting and boom boom, pew pew, death and dying. A whole war happening throughout the entire world. A veritable world war. For the second time this century. Walt Disney, popular American filmmaker at the time, you may have heard of him. He was tasked with making a movie to get Central and South America to support the United States and the Allied powers. So, him and his crew hopped on a plane to live it up down in old South America. They had a lot of fun. It was a grand old time, and they made a movie, Saludos Amigos. Now, since budget was tight due to the war, it was difficult to make movies as long as they did a few years ago, or would a few years later, and that's why this era was home to the package films. Movies that were more or less a collection of shorts tied together through common themes and some sort of framing device. Saludos Amigos is notable for introducing the world to a brand new classic iconic Disney character, the Brazilian parrot José Carioca. But things didn't stop there. You see, they had so many ideas from their travels that they decided to make another South Central American themed package film, the Three Caballeros. Here they introduced Panchito Pistolas, a Mexican rooster, and together with Jose and beloved classic Donald Duck, they formed the trio known as the Three Caballeros. They sang a fun song with some hella neat visuals, and after that, not much. It feels like they were intended to be new icons, to appeal more to a new demographic and join the main cast with the likes of Mickey, Goofy, Pete. But they didn't. Jose and Panchito didn't really do much for a while. For the next 60 years while. Now, they did make appearances here and there. They were still pretty popular in, South America and Central America, and also Japan. Weirdly, Japan loves the Caballeros. Might be a yaoi thing, I don't know. It's cool because I also love the Caballeros, and they get a lot of neat exclusive merchandise in Japan, and you can find tons of Caballero art on Pixiv and the like, but it's still weird how that sort of just happened. One thing I really love about the Three Caballeros is that they really do feel like best friends. Like, Donald is usually paired with Scrooge, his nephews, Mickey and Goofy, but none of them really feel like they truly care about him as much as Jose and Panchito do. Like, sure, they love him, definitely, but something about the way he interacts with Jose and Panchito, it just feels more like true friendship than his usual character dynamics. He gets stuck with all the bad luck, but when he's a Caballero, he finally gets to let loose and just have a good time. It's one of the rare occasions where we get to see Donald Duck truly get to have fun. Pure, innocent fun where nobody gets hurt. Well, except for when Donald and Jose try to kill Panchito, but that's all in good fun, I'm sure. But anyway, outside of comics, they didn't really do a whole lot. And Panchito didn't even get to do a lot in comics for that matter. Jose got his own sub-series of comics in Brazil with his own cast of wacky side characters. I don't speak Portuguese, so I can't really understand any of what's going on, but I do know he's the Green Bat. Yeah, Jose is a superhero, apparently. But so is Donald. I think everybody is. They didn't do a whole lot until House of Mouse. Disney's House of Mouse was kind of the first time the Caballeros really did anything in ages. It introduced a whole new generation to these classic characters that might otherwise not know about. I know House of Mouse was my first experience with the Caballeros, and I'm sure a lot of people around my age would say the same thing. Here in the House of Mouse, they kind of got rid of Panchito's whole gunslinging thing. It also changed his name, because Pistoles was too, gun? So now he's Panchito Romero Miguel Junipero Francisco Quintero Gonzalez the Third. He didn't actually say the third in House of Mouse, he said, "That's me," but a lot of people misheard it as the Third, including me, for the longest time. But as of Mickey and the Roadster Racers, where he made a handful of appearances, he is canonically the third Panchito Romero Miguel Junipero Francisco Quintero Gonzalez. Other than House of Mouse and the Roadster Racers, Jose and Panchito only made a few cameos in the modern Mickey shorts, and they have costumes at the parks, but they're really not too common outside of Japan. But then, a new show popped up on the Disney Life app. Only in the Philippines. This is the legend of the Three Caballeros. I want to take a moment and just establish how weird and unprecedented this is. Disney produces an entire season of a television cartoon based on semi-popular classic characters, has it finished and ready to go for at least a year. We really don't know exactly how long Disney held on to it. They still, to this day, have not announced the show or even formally acknowledged it. It was released only on the app and only in the Philippines. We know it wasn't produced there either. It's in English, and it was made in an American studio. That's been established. Some documents have been uncovered that point to plans to air it on TV in summer 2017 as a special miniseries event. But that obviously didn't happen. Leading theory is that it's planned to air as a launch title for Disney's new paid streaming service next year, and that's the only thing that makes sense. The show was apparently so secret that the people at Disney TV Animation didn't even know it was in production. The DuckTales crew was as surprised as the rest of us that there was another show starring Donald right now. So we have the backstory, but what is it actually about? The premise is pretty simple. On Donald's birthday, Friday the 13th, this fact itself being a reference to the original Caballeros movie, has a really, really bad day. He loses his job, he loses his house, and he loses his girlfriend. But then his great-grandfather dies. But that's the good part, because now Donald inherited his cabana in the new Quackmore Institute, kind of an elite rich people suburb of Duckburg. Yes, Scrooge does show up, but it's just a cameo, and he's voiced by Eric Bauza, which I think is his first time voicing the character. Like the first time he's been voiced by anybody other than David Tennant since Alan Young died. So that's interesting. I guess he's the new Scrooge. So anyway, Donald goes to claim his inheritance, meets his new neighbor, Baron von Sheldgoose. He's voiced by Wayne Knight, so he's just always going to be Newman to me. Sheldgoose is a jerk, is the point here. Then Jose and Panchito show up. They also inherited the cabana, because their ancestors were the Three Caballeros. Here's our wacky sitcom setup. 3 birds that just met have to live in one little cabana. Oh, what wacky shenanigans will they get into? Wait, no. It doesn't stop there. We meet Ari, the Araquan bird, caretaker of the cabana, and exactly as weird as ever. Daisy's nieces, April, May, and June, for some reason, just show up and start living with Donald. It's also their first starring role in any animated production ever. Seriously, before this, they had only had cameos in House of Mouse and appearances in comics. This is big. So Donald, Jose, and Panchito, while trying to sell all the old, weird junk in the cabana to Sheldgoose, discover a magic book that contains a babe, Zandra, the goddess of adventure. So here's our real setup. Donald, Jose, and Panchito have to travel the world, going on adventures with Zandra, stopping the evil wizard Feldrake, and living up to the legacy of their ancestors, the original Three Caballeros. And that's just the first episode and a half. It's weirdly completely serialized, and while each episode contains a complete adventure, they always lead directly into the next one. The series follows the Caballeros and the other characters all living in this one little cabana as they grow closer as friends, as a team, and as a family? They adventure, they chill, they meet all sorts of magical and mythical friends and enemies. They even get thrown in goblin jail. And also later they die. All the while Feldrake is scheming and gathering power. Eventually Humphrey the Bear shows up and he just sort of sticks around. There's so much going on in this series, it's really worth it to just check it out. If you like the Caballeros, if you like classic Disney, if you just like fun adventure cartoons. It's a short 13 episodes at 22 minutes a pop. A self-contained story that leaves a window to jump out of into a second season should Disney pick it up. As it stands now, I'm certain Disney's undecided, since they haven't even decided to announce it yet. But once it hits the streaming service and everyone knows about it, well, given how warmly received it's been by just the niche community that actually knows about it, I'm certain it'll be pretty well liked once it's actually out. Now, of course, it's out there, and I'm sure you know where to look to find such things unofficially. And we don't know when or if we'll see it officially released. I don't want to openly endorse piracy here, but, wink. But if you do choose to watch it before it comes out, if it turns out it does come to the streaming service, watch it again if you liked it, or at least give it a positive review if they have, like, a star ranking or a thumbs up system. Who knows what it'll really be like. Between Legend of the Three Caballeros and their appearance in Season 2 of DuckTales, it's looking like the Caballeros are back in a big way. It's two completely different takes on the characters, but two completely valid ones. In fact, everything about Legend feels sort of like the opposite of DuckTales. DuckTales has more of that modern style of lightly serialized action comedy, and while Legend is also a lightly serialized action comedy, it feels a little more old-fashioned, I guess. Legend's interpretation of classic characters feels closer to the original, whereas DuckTales seeks to reinvent everyone. Neither one is particularly better or worse, just a different way of doing it. Both shows are very high quality, and both are drawing from very different source material, featuring very different versions of Donald Duck. But it's still hard not to compare them. If you like DuckTales, watch Legend. It's just more Disney bird content to enjoy. If you don't like DuckTales, check out Legend. Maybe it's doing right what DuckTales did wrong for you. If you really don't much like Donald Duck and Friends at all, why are you watching this video? The Legend of the Three Caballeros is living proof that Disney can still surprise us in the modern era, and more than that, it proves that a family can be a parrot, a rooster, a duck, his girlfriend's nieces, a weird bird, the goddess of adventure, and a bear rug brought to life. And I think that's just beautiful. If this is the level of quality that we can expect from the upcoming streaming services originals, well, then dang, bring on that High School Musical show already.
With three caballeros, three gay caballeros, they say we are birds of a feather. With happy amigos, no matter where he goes, the 1, 2, and 3 goes, we're always together.